Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's AMI day 23. I have your science assignment for today. We're going to be talking about tables and graphs, specifically bar graphs and line graphs. Okay, so here is our scenario for today. Your science teacher, whoever that might be, has you do an experiment. You are told to plan a way to record what happens during the experiment and to make a graph. How do you know what to do? Science uses lots of charts, tables, and graphs, and each type is used to show different types of information. Okay, so we've talked a lot about that in class. Remember that our data table is what we use to record our observations. So when we're doing the experiment, the data table gives us a place to record our information, the data that we collect, in a clear and organized way. And then we have two major types of graphs that we use in science: bar graphs and line graphs. So a bar graph is used to display data in a number of separate or distinct categories. So our example here, we have calories burned by a 30 kilogram person in 30 minutes. And then we have three different categories: bicycling, playing basketball, watching television. Those are our activities, but they are separate categories. And then we have on our Y, our dependent variable, the number of calories burned by each activity. Then a line graph is used to display data that shows how one variable, the dependent variable, changes in response to another variable. That's the independent variable. Or in other words, how the independent variable affects the dependent variable. The line is continuous, meaning it doesn't stop unless you estimate values for points that you did not test. So, for example, if we tested body mass of a 30 kilogram person and body mass of a 40 kilogram person and a 50 and a 60 and a 70 to plot our points, then we can use this line to estimate what it would be for somebody that was 35 kilograms or 48 kilograms based on our line graph. But both the X and the Y are changing continuously, and that gives us a line graph. Okay. If you want a little bit more clarification than what I've given you, you can always email me. But I also posted this video that goes into a little bit more depth, and you get to do a little bit more interactive of how you would plot data during a zombie apocalypse. Okay, so let's get to our questions. Question number 1, using the line graph above as a model, create a line graph for experiment 2 or experiment 3 in the example data table to the right. Be sure to include your scale and titles, right? Remember all those details of tails, and I included a link here for you as well: title, axis, interval, labels, and scale. Okay, and there's a little bit of review there. So in our example up here of our line graph, we have the data from experiment 1, bicycling. You are going to choose experiment 2, playing basketball, or experiment 3, watching television, and then create a line graph for that column of data. Okay, you don't need to do both, just experiment 2, basketball, or experiment 3, watching television. Remember to label and get your title and scale and interval in there. Okay. Question 2. You read in the newspaper that a total of 4 centimeters of rain fell in June, 2.5 centimeters of rain fell in July, and 1.5 centimeters of rain fell in August. So with this data, what type of graph would you use to display it? Okay. Would you use a bar graph, or would you use a line graph? Okay, so we have our months and we have the amount of rain that fell in them. So then in part A, just answer which type would you use, bar or line, and why. Right? I would create a blank kind of graph to display this data because, and then justify your answer. Part B, draw or create a graph based on that data. Okay? So make sure you're making a graph, not a table. As always, I'll be watching email, Google Classroom if you have any questions. Look forward to seeing your graphs. Have a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow.